I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button and I accidentally started the stream. Doozy's just sitting here. Guess I'm starting early. Everybody out. We're probably live. Test, test. Well, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I guess we started a little bit early tonight because I pressed the wrong button and I sent us live. And here we are. We're at 10 minutes early, and I'll take it. I'll handle that. I can improvise. You know, this show isn't so well scheduled out and so meticulous that I can't improvise just a little bit. Welcome to the Sulk stream. Today we're going to be doing bad parenting advice, which I have not watched this video. And so I'm going into it fresh, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. We'll see how it is. You like the upbeat music? Me too. Thanks. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all the applause. Go ahead. Stop, please. It's too much. It's just too much. You guys, be real. Be realistic. This is serious time. Why are you guys never serious? This is serious time. Anyways, yeah, bad internet parenting advice. So, yeah. We're going to dive into a bunch of weird mom Twitter shit. And we're going to, see what people have to say. Most likely people without kids have to say about parenting in general. So, it should be interesting. So, get comfy, get cozy, get a baby bottle, get, some diapers and stuff. I know a lot of you need diapers, so, yeah. I get it. If you're working, keep If you're working, keep working. And if you are driving, please continue to drive safely and get home safely, and hit that like button if you'd be so kind. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Anyways, I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream, and this is called Internet Parenting Advice. Pretty simple. Enjoy.
Unschooling, and I've got my kids helping me to clean the car out. Day 2 of unschooling, we're at the park learning how to have fun. Now they're going to go grocery shopping with me, and we're going to learn about reading labels.
Wait, let me...
Reading labels? Reading labels? Can they read?
Let me see if I heard that correctly. You said that you removed your kids from school so they could clean your car?
Teaching them hard work, taking care of the things that you love, that you need, and also just needed the car clean.
Okay, I just
No, this makes sense. This is legit. Sometimes you just don't want to clean your own car, and so you have your kids do it for you. I mean, that would take longer than my kids wouldn't be good at that. I have boys. Are girls different? Are girls different? I know, like, girls seem easier. Maybe not. But girls are probably psychotic, but like, boys are just destructive. They would make the carpet worse.
wanted to make sure I got that right. So there's this movement out there called Unschooling, where parents are removing their kids from school to teach them a curriculum that's based on the things that each kid is personally interested in. It's sort of like homeschooling with less standardization, which sounds like a great idea initially. I mean, kids should
Well, we're homeschooling. We're going to be homeschooling, but our kids aren't in school yet. They're too young.
be developing a habit of self-study by focusing on skills they naturally want to learn. But understand that this is the internet, and because of that, people are obviously going to have a bunch of opinions that they haven't thought too much about.
And trying to
Fantastic. That's true. Everyone wants to share their opinion on a subject that they've thought about for roughly 10 seconds. Not even that. I mean, like, the amount of time they thought about it is pretty close to none. They spent more time, like, tweeting about it than actually thinking about, like, what are they saying is, and I'm guilty of it too. I say nonsense online all the time, because it's fun. I have a good time.
figure out how to
I have a good time doing
let
it.
go of what my idea of school is. What if they
I
really
want
do need
to.
algebra and I don't teach them algebra?
So the fears that you have are so normal.
No problem. I don't know algebra, and I've never used algebra once in my lifetime. I don't think I've used algebra once in my lifetime. And if I do have a question about algebra, I'll go ahead and ask Grok or ChatGPT or whatever, because they know algebra really well. Why? Why learn algebra unless you're going into like engineering or a science field or something like that? Even then, it doesn't seem like a very useful thing because we have the tools where we don't need to learn algebra. Going to school is not about just learning random nonsense. It's supposed to prepare you for the world that you're going to be living in. And we have AI and stuff like that. So why don't they teach kids to use AI? They're actively stopping kids from using AI because they say that's cheating. But at the same time, when kids turn in these papers, they use AI to actually grade the paper. So they're not even doing their own job, right? They're like, my job is to keep you from using the tools that you will be using in the future, while I am not doing my job by using the tools I'm using right now. So, great work, teachers. Again, knocking it out of the park. I mean, I've never met a smarter, more honest, and like put together group than teachers, public school teachers specifically. God, they are lame, dude.
And algebra is not something everybody on earth needs to know.
Actually, you do need algebra. Not knowing algebra is how dumb people get trapped by credit card debt because they don't know how to calculate percentages and yearly interest rates.
How? Okay, you don't even need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to actually sit there and calculate. You can ask Grok that too. Like, how much is if my APR is this much, how much am I going to end up on a $20,000 loan if I take 5 years to pay it off? And it'll rattle it out for you. That doesn't take algebra. That just takes a small amount of being not a fucking dumbass. That just takes not being stupid. That doesn't take algebra. I don't know algebra. I know exactly how much I have to pay and how much it's going to cost over a long period of time. Because it says it in the contract. Can you read? Can you read stuff? If you can't, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't read, then I can't help you. Learn to read. That's important. Learn to read. But beyond that, you have the entire internet and you have Grok. So, like, take the reins. Take the lead. Okay? Learn about what you want to learn about. And then don't learn about the stuff you don't want to learn about. Even if kids go to school and, like, learn algebra and shit like that, I don't really think it helps 99.99% of them. Maybe a little bit lower than that, but still, a vast majority of people immediately forget it, and it shows how worthless modern education actually is.
Algebra is also how you understand how much you're getting screwed by taxes.
Background says, first, is this live? This is indeed live. This is indeed live. I'm right here. It says, look, if you go and look at the thing, it says live. So, yeah, I'm right here.
But anyway, this is the unschooling narrative. Public school teaches a bunch of things that kids don't necessarily need, so some parents are taking matters into their own hands to create a lesson plan that's more...
You know why I went a little early today? Because I pressed the wrong button, and then it took me live, and I was like, all right, well, guess I'm starting early. So there we go.
That being said, let's get back to Kelsey, who was the first girl I showed, and hear what her lesson
Dang, she got almost 1 million followers.
plan is.
Yes, we're going to be doing reading and writing and math and maybe science, but it's not going to look the same as traditional public school. It's going to be different.
Okay, so we're doing reading and
Okay, so
writing.
the teacher's not going to molest the students. Okay. I mean, that seems like a good start.
And math, and we might learn some science, maybe, if there's time.
Selva says, I refuse to read or need to know how to spelling better. Know how to spelling better. Yeah.
And Kelsey's plan is going to be different from regular school.
Perfect.
But how is it going to be different?
I mean, your grammar and your diction you're knocking it out of the park so far. I don't think look, anything you guys need to learn, I will teach you. Is that a deal? Can we all, can you just push all that nonsense book learning out of your head and let Daddy Sulk lead the way? I think that would be best for everybody. Thanks.
We are going to the library, maybe some thrift stores to find
Yeah.
some
Hey,
books,
Shimo.
just to read. We're going to make it a point in our
Background. I came in the middle of a rant and it threw me off. Well, that happens.
nighttime routine to read every single night. So read.
We're doing bad parenting advice. That comes from the internet. So she is currently self-teaching her kid, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big proponent of homeschooling and stuff. And I think if you want to teach the kid the way you want to do it, that's fantastic. I think that's the preferred method. But I understand that a lot of people have to put their kids in school because they have to go to work, right? Which obviously is not an accident. You put both parents in work, and then you double the tax base, and then you get to teach the kids how you want and turn them into little communists and stuff. Then there's no problem. And so this is kind of the pushback against that. But let's be honest, she's kind of stupid. She kind of seems stupid. Which is, okay, fine, you're stupid. Just ask Grok to do it, or you can Google some lesson plans. There's also other options for schools. You can teach with like a church, or there's a million community options besides just public school. I can definitely see, because I agree, why people don't want to put their kids in public school. I grew up in the public education system in California, and it damaged me for the rest of my life.
Writing, math,
It was a nightmare.
and just doing it in different ways than just sitting down as you normally would in public school. So
How do I get my OBS to not glitch out when I don't wear a black shirt? I don't know. I haven't figured that out, and they won't teach you that in school.
follow.
They'd be like, what's an OBS? They'd be like, what's a streamer? Yes.
So you're going to go to a thrift store.
And I would sit there and I'd be like, I don't know. And that would be completely honest. Because I'm not sure what either of those things are. Nope, not a clue. But I'm sitting here using OBS, and I guess people consider me a streamer, which is weird. I don't even know if it's accurate.
Or like Goodwill to
Could
buy
be.
some books that smell like pesticides and old people, and you're going to read.
I broke Rumble? How did I break Rumble? Ray Jenkins? How did I break Rumble? Am I still streaming over on Rumble? Yeah, still live over on Rumble. Only 9 people in there, though.
Read every night, kind of like
It's kinda
people
weird.
do in school, but it's going to be different from school. Did you actually do any research on this before you made this decision for your kids? I mean, this
Strawberry says, I was watching a couple videos about this unschooling stuff the other day. I mean, it's interesting Dude, mom Twitter is delightful. I mean, it is overwhelmingly toxic. Don't get me wrong. It is a cesspool of the lowest common type, like the lowest sort of people. Like, and I mean like IQ wise. The women on there are very cliquey, and some of them are pretty stupid. Like more stupid than you would hope to believe. Like, whoa. But regardless of how stupid or not stupid they are all toxic. Jess included. Jess included. She's a big part of Mon Twitter. She's part of it. She was a mod on one of the like a free birthing group or something like that. But then there was a big fiasco, and she had to step down from that position because a bunch of things. There was a bunch of rhetoric and attacks, and there was some doxing going on, and I think there was doxing, maybe not, but it was a big thing. For days in our life, we were constantly getting attacks by because she made fun of some chick. And I'm all like, and then they found my channel, and then they were furious and thought I like abused her and stuff. And then we started doing the entire abuse bit, which is pretty good. It was pretty funny.
That she's unaware that you don't need to go to the library to learn things. You can just look them up on the internet.
Christian says the boys are here. The show can start. Well, it started at 7:50. So, because my son was sitting in my lap, and he was like ringing the bell and hitting the keyboard and stuff like that, and I hit the wrong button, and then I went live, and I was like, oh, shit. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess the show started.
The fact that she doesn't know this means that she has like never tried to learn anything on her own. Does she even know how to set a schedule or discipline herself to build a curriculum so that her kids don't just...
No, I'm sure she doesn't. I'm sure she's just winging it and like, oh, look, here's a receipt. I'm teaching you about life. Look at these prices. Eggs are expensive. And they're like, whoa. What is money, first of all? Where does that come from? Do you just have money, or is there some sort of base? Honestly, these questions are a lot deeper than even most teachers can answer. So, I mean, when you're a kid, you start from nothing. You have to, like, guess at a lot of stuff that's gone on, right? You have to be caught up on the last couple thousand years of history. In like 18 years, and that's a lot to cover. So, you gotta be like, well, money is nonsense. And then just leave it at that. You know, I'm gonna intentionally confuse my kids. I'll be like, the world's hard, and I'm gonna start you off on like Dark Souls level of education, right? It's gonna be hard, and I'm going to intentionally make it harder. So, you know, if you do succeed, then you deserve it.
Just waste time doing nothing all day?
I'm going to sabotage you.
No. Her plan is to read random books from a thrift store. How is this better than...
Despite says women, am I right? Indeed, he is right.
Cool. But speaking of discipline, let's talk about this video's sponsor, Rocket Money. If you're trying to get your life under control, then the first thing to work on is good financial habits. And in order to build those good habits, you have to know what you're spending your money on.
And we're going to learn about reading labels. We're going to learn about math and...
Probably can't even read. Probably don't even know, like, basic Arabic numerals. I don't know how old her kids are, but she's just going to the Aldi. She's getting her shit done. And look, this is fine if you want to, like, take him to the grocery store and, like, teach them, like, I don't know, how to count and stuff. Like, I have 5 cabbages going into the cart and stuff. But I don't think she's doing that proficiently. But it's still better than most public school teachers. I don't know if I can, like, reiterate this enough. Public school teachers are fucking morons. At least in California, the ones I grew up with are usually drunks, pedophiles, or retards. Or some combination of those 3.
money and spending your money wisely. When you're buying groceries, you need to make sure that the quality of it is good. So turn it over on each one, make sure that there's no molded ones, make sure they all look pretty good. And if
That's an issue at Aldi. I'll be real with you. That's an issue. At Aldi, you have to make sure the strawberries aren't moldy. At least this is a decent life lesson, right? I mean, what do you actually learn in school? You guys would have to tell me what you learn in school because I did not pay attention at all. At all. I was pissed I had to be there, and they were pissed I had to be there. But they got to choose to be there. They were being paid to be there. I was forced to. I would be in prison. I would go to little kid jail if I chose not to be there.
you put them in their buggy.
Nice. Make sure the fruit is not moldy. Now, do we know what mold is? Well, no, because she hasn't shown her kids a moldy fruit so they would know what to avoid. But I'm sure they will magically be able to figure that out. Let's move on.
You see the prices on them right here?
I mean, yeah, eventually you're going to come across mold, and they're going to be like, and then she's going to be like, that's mold. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, that's what mold looks like. What is mold? Well, it is it's a plant, and it grows on stuff. And, it can take things over, and it spreads quickly. And there's this thing called ethylene gas that actually promotes actually, that's rotting. Ethylene gas promotes rotting, but not mold propagation. But, yeah, mold spreads.
You typically want to make sure that you pick the lowest price, and if it's a low price and it looks like it's a good apple, like Honeycrisp are good apples, we can get a bag of those.
Wow, thank God Captain Obvious was there to tell her kids they should try to buy the food with a lower price.
Well, okay, let's be completely fair here. She is teaching her kids the skills that she uses on a day-to-day basis. She's not teaching them about mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, because that will mean nothing to them, ever. She's teaching them basic life skills, and hopefully she teaches them about compounding interest and how to vote and how to fill out a job application and how to pay your taxes and stuff like that. Things that schools don't teach. The actual being a citizen in the country and not the powerhouse of the cell or, which colors make another color. Although they learn that pretty early. My son is asking me which two colors make a certain color and I have to tell them. And I don't even know that a lot of the time. He's like, what's blue and green make? And I was like, bluish green? I'm not helpful, I'm not trying to... I was never going to try to be a teacher because I saw what teachers were, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and aim a little higher.
Instead of the higher price if they want to save money. What would they do without you?
You're reading the labels.
Christian says, my dumb wife is a teacher. I can confirm. Look, I'm talking about specifically teachers in California. I can't talk outside of that unless you're in California. Yeah.
Notice where it says includes added sugars. How many does that say?
I mean, look, Jess's mom is a teacher and stuff like that, and her brother is a teacher. But I'm just saying, in general, yeah, they tend to be pretty low IQ. It's just
0
in general.
15, so we don't want sugars, right? So you're gonna get that one.
Jeez, lady.
Okay, so what is a sugar? You got to explain what a sugar is too, right? Like sucrose and glucose and the different types of sugars. There's also sweeteners. And I mean, if you're getting into health, that's great. That's important, especially dietary health, which is very important, which is another thing that schools don't teach. Because pharmaceutical industries and stuff don't want kids learning about health, about diets and stuff like that. I know they're all like, look at this, it's a food pyramid. Oh, we're going to put stairs on the side to represent physical activity. No one knows what that food pyramid is about. No one follows that shit. That means nothing to anybody. And how much bread does somebody eat in a day? 8 to 10 servings of bread? Am I eating 8 to 10 servings of bread? I don't think so.
Give your kid time to answer when you ask them a question. Oh, wait, I think she realized that she forgot to teach them numbers and reading before this. so they couldn't actually give an answer.
Arden Shire says blue plus green equals shit color. Probably. Look, I am not in charge of the children's schooling. When they get a little bit older, maybe I'll take on that role. And I'll be like, no, that's a nonsense opinion. But like, I'll be like one of those teachers where I'm like, that's a stupid idea. That's a stupid way of thinking. And then I won't elaborate, right? I'll be like, I'll let you ponder over why that's stupid. And if you come back to me and properly explain why that's stupid, I'll give you $20. And they'll be like, okay.
Excellent. But again,
maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. But if they come back with a stupider explanation, I'll be like, now you owe me $20. They're all like, I don't like this game. This is not a fun game. It ain't a game. It's life.
Instead of letting them study what they want, you're forcing them to learn the material that you want them to learn, which were just daily.
Lucas Hardar says food pyramid is one of the biggest scams. It's a rabbit hole. I haven't. I bet you're right. But when you say rabbit hole, do you have something can you share that with me?
Chores that you had to get done. And then when it comes to the answers, you just have them memorize stuff.
Arden Shara says the colors are a perfect segue into, colors not mixing and stuff. Okay, so, blue and green make a darker bluish green. And that leads me on to miscegenation, which is wrong and it's unnatural. And then I go off on one of my rants. And then I'm like, 3 hours later. And that's why we lost World War II.
Which is exactly what school does. There's no teaching them critical thinking skills or allowing them to...
My son's just staring at me.
discover things on their own through trial and error.
And I'm like, yeah.
You're just telling them what to say. At least with school, they would get a teacher who is somewhat qualified to have them memorize stuff. All right, now I need to see how we got here. Why did she think this would be a good idea? What's her backstory?
Yes, I'm a felon. I'm going to tell you guys the story.
Bravo! Are you on mug shotties? Because I'm not going to lie, you got kind of like good bone structure. I mean, you got a decent face. Your hair looks nice. I think before you had kids, you probably pretty good. So tell us about your felony. Tell us about your felony.
I became a felon.
Wow, that escalated quickly. Apparently, she was charged with a felony at age 16 and served 30 days in jail for armed robbery and attempt.
Wow, that's stupid. That's extremely stupid. But at least she was 16, So she and a 16-year-old girl never gets tried as an adult. I don't even think adult women get tried as an adult. They're just women. Get out of here, you knucklehead.
Attempted murder after she drank and did drugs. Anything else?
Eric and I had a spicy fight about 6 months ago,
Ugh,
and we stopped.
she kind of thick. But I bet she looked good before she gained all that baby weight. And then she didn't lose it. So that's a shame.
We did it for a couple of years. Some months we were making $40,000. The money was great. We were really excited about it. We felt like it was bringing the fire back into our relationship.
Of course. I should have expected that. She also said that she was a sugar baby in a...
Renee says, the point is, don't mix races. This is my son. He's writing it down. But he can't read and he can't write, so it's just scribbles. And I'm like, yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
But now all the negligence makes sense. She has a history of making bad decisions.
She ain't look bad, but she's just kind of fat. I'm sorry, you're just a little fat. I mean, if you lost that fat, I think you would look good, and then I would take your... okay, I'm never going to take your opinion seriously. You're a woman and a felon, so that's 2 huge strikes against you. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you're fat.
So apparently this unschooling idea from Kelsey is a relatively new thing, and her kids were in school, or...
Does she have a black boyfriend? It looks like it, doesn't it?
One of them was, but she took them out.
But I don't think so. She said she was making money, so...
You can tell it was a recent decision she made on impulse from how little of a game plan she has. However, all this begs the question of, what was the final straw for public school? And to answer that, here's Kelsey talking about a problem that she had with her son's teacher.
Silva says, I have what is deemed medically as a rabbit hole. I have to use a special toilet. Do you eat your own poops? That's what rabbits do. They eat their own poop to get the nutrients and stuff back. Is that what you're telling me? You eat your own poop? Like a Snickers bar? Like it's a snack that you have to keep with you like a diabetic person? You pull it out of a little cooler and stuff and unwrap it. And they're like, hey, you're not you when you're hungry. Is that poop?
Sure.
The other day, or a couple weeks ago, she sent home in his folder a piece of paper that had a signature side and a date
You don't look bad, but you're just too fat.
side. And she told him, didn't say nothing to me, told him to tell me I needed to take his homework out of his folder every single night, sign and date this piece of paper, and send it back to her every single day. Now, listen, I took that piece of paper out and I said, I'm not doing that, baby. I have 4 kids and I run a massive business through social media. I don't have time.
What's her massive bit? Oh, right. She's got like 1 million followers. She probably does those close-up face shots. You know, like a Tinder. Like, if you ever go on Tinder and stuff like that, if they do like the close-up, like if this is their profile picture, she fat. And like the more she gets like this, if it's like just this, where it's just the features and it's covered in makeup, right? Just covered in. Then she's super fat. Like, the wider out she goes, the less fat she is. Right? But don't take that, I mean, like, because she can still be fat and then, like, hide the fat in, like, another room and stuff like that. Women have all sorts of tricks. They're not to be trusted.
Literally.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Spending 2 minutes checking homework is too hard. So, of course, the logical conclusion is to pull the kids out of school.
Lucas says it was World War II meat rationing, then pharma and subsidies farming. Look into John Kellogg, another rabbit hole. Oh, you're talking about the whole food pyramid thing. Interesting. Yeah, World War II shaped a lot of American cheese is from World War II. Right, because it was stable and easily shipped. Hershey's chocolate bars, Coca-Cola. A lot of our American diet is based on like shelf life and can we get it to the troops and stuff. Right, that's how we got these big factories and stuff going, and we produced a lot of food, a lot of very stable, long-lasting, chemically rich food.
Entirely and become a full-time teacher, right? Well, maybe, but personally, I have at least a little faith in humanity, so I'm pretty sure that she can understand that becoming a full-time teacher is more work than signing her kids' homework. So there must be some other...
I can wheel a monitor into the classroom and turn the lights out and lay my head down on the desk. It's not that hard. Oh, look, it's a Bill Nye the Science Guy day. Sweet. Now I can lay my head down on the desk because I don't want to be here either. I know it's teacher hangover day, but like, I don't get to party like that.
the reason for why she's doing what she does. That being said, let's watch more of her unschooling content to see if we can figure it out.
There's so many
Wendigoon did a whole video on government cheese caves. I bet that's really interesting. He does great videos.
comments in my comment section about, well, what if they want to be a doctor or a lawyer? And I think I've already mentioned this before one time already, but like the likelihood of my kids wanting to do something that they don't see that I'm normalizing is very slim.
Come on.
Okay. That's not a problem. Look. Okay. So she's not normalizing being a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. It doesn't mean they can't be a doctor or a lawyer. You're just going to need to go to school eventually, right? And you're going to... Look, you can go to community college, and they'll teach remedial reading, right? You'll go to like a 4-year state university, and they'll teach remedial algebra. The goalpost, the standards have really dropped quite a bit. And if your kid is smart enough to actually be able to pull that off, I don't think he's going to have a problem. I mean, he's not going to be 20 years old being like, I can't read the road signs. You completely failed me. I doubt that. Are there people like that out there? Yeah, of course there are. But they're stupid. They're stupid people. If you live in a country your entire life and you can't read the writing that is literally on the wall, you're a stupid person. your entire life, you can barely speak the language, you're a pretty stupid person. That's a very... You can't read road signs or anything like that?
Guys, you see, my kids are too dumb to want to become doctors and lawyers when they grow up, and they're too lacking in individual thought to do anything outside of what I tell them, which is why I'm unschooling them so they can get their education from the Goodwill discount bin.
No, my kids are going to be cult leaders, just like I am. It's a family business, and I insist they be just like me. And if they're not going to be like me, I will cut them off. And I will, hold on. I'll consider them dead to me.
Jeez, this chick does not care about...
Which is, that's a tall order. Because most people aren't like me. Most people are, like, mentally sane. And, like, you know, they don't have, like, a bunch of anxieties and, like, hypochondria and like, a bunch of weird kind of tics and stuff. So, I'm going to have to work on that. I want what I want out of you, okay? So deliver.
about her kids at all.
On top of, I'm very proactive inside of my profession.
Renee says, whisper before Jess comes in to beat you. That's who I was texting. I was like, give me my stuff. Give me my stuff. She knew how to read before she met me, and then I messed with her head a bunch, and now she doesn't know how to do it anymore. That's how good I am.
And my career of being an entrepreneur, they're likely going to follow that path because
I never want to catch her reading.
they're going to see how successful.
No.
Right, because entrepreneurs have always been known to love learning by memorizing answers, and they always follow the rules or follow instructions.
Okay, well, I mean, there is this thing called an autodidact, where that is the word for somebody who teaches themselves. And if you want to be successful in this world whatsoever, you have to become one. Because the system is not going to teach you to think critically or outside the box in any sort of way. All right? So, maybe she's doing the right thing. Maybe in some weird roundabout way she's doing the right thing. They're like, okay, if I want to achieve anything in this world, I actually have to, like, get down and do it myself. I can't just, like, cheat my... That's how I got through high school. I cheated the entire time. I would always, like, I would steal answers. And I just didn't give a shit, right? Because none of the information that they had was, one, accurate, or two, worthwhile. Right? So, and 90% of it was politically motivated, too. So I'm like, fuck you. Why should I listen to you? And I'm glad I took that route. It was difficult for me as a child. It was. But I'm glad I took that route because I didn't get indoctrinated and brainwashed like a lot of the people I knew growing up. And those people, they didn't end up so great. You know, I would always have teachers tell me I was going to be pushing the shopping cart or I'm going to be homeless or something like that. They would tell me this regularly, pretty regularly. And oddly enough, I have a house and I have a wife and kids, and I'm actually pretty happy and I'm pretty comfortable. But a lot of the people I went to school with that did well in school actually ended up being drug addicts or actually being on the street, right? Just because you're good at being told what to do doesn't mean you're going to have any sort of success in life. This is paramount. So I'm actually raising my kids to be a little bit rebellious, and I'm doing a pretty good job with the first one. He's got some spunk in him. He's a firecracker, man. The kid's a pistol. I think he's going to be just fine.
Teaching them how to follow instructions.
Anyway, now I think we have the...
Lucas says if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Exactly. And I did fine. I went all the way through. The instant I was eligible to take my GED, I took it, first time passed, and I was gone. That's all everybody wanted. That's all I wanted. That's all they wanted. That's all everybody wanted. I was gone. And I went off and I lived my life.
She took her kids out of school. Kelsey works some sort of herbal lifestyle pyramid scheme where she sells supplement powder, and she's trying to push her kids towards that, or use them to promote it, which is why she calls them her downlines.
The point to this is I want my kids to live a good life, and I want to create a
Big B says, I stare out of a window all day and make more than teachers, and I have way more freedom. I know you do. I know you do. Because you do something useful, Big B. They're babysitters. They're not teachers. They're babysitters. The only thing these kids learn is like how to play Roblox and stuff like that. Teachers don't actually... Look, if paying more money to teachers actually made kids smarter, then I would be all for increasing the budget, and we should pay teachers more, right? We gotta pay them more. They're not making enough. No, they're making plenty because they're useless. They're useless. They're babysitters, right? And oftentimes they're bad people, right? And the more money we give them, constantly we raise the budget on teachers. Constantly. Oh, it's a vote for our future, right? The children are our future. More money goes into the public education budget every year, it seems like. And scores keep getting lower and lower and lower. Money is not the problem. Money is not the issue. So I think we should start taking it back to a very large degree.
legacy for the rest of my downline of my family.
A downline is a sales term for a person.
It's a MLM. It's a multi-level marketing sales term. She's in a pyramid scheme.
Person who you recruit onto your team, who you then get a percentage of every sale they make. This is a core feature of pyramid and multi-level marketing schemes, where the higher up you are and the more worker bees you have under you, the more passive income you make.
Christian says, I put down random answers on a multiple choice test and got a 93%. Well, that's how they became teachers, so... They didn't even do that. They get a key and stuff. They don't even know the answers. They just match it up to the key, and they're like, okay. Okay. Glug, glug, glug. Okay. Glug, 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 glug. I had a teacher that kept a 30 rack of Keystone Light in the back of his truck with a sleeping bag.
So a lot of people involved in the pyramid schemes spend time trying to recruit the suckers who bought their product.
Yeah, I saw it.
into also becoming their downline. Actually, it seems like a couple of these unschoolers, for some reason, want to turn their kids into entrepreneurs or do some sort of sales job for a family.
Nope, not my kid. Now, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do with my kids. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll be like, you don't have to do shit. You don't have to do anything. You can live here the rest of your life, and I'll give you food and shelter. And if you just want to chill out on the couch and like play video games, then be my guest. He won't want to. Eventually, he's going to want to achieve something and like make something of himself. But I'm not going to pressure him into doing that. Because I was. And it really backfired. It really backfired.
Family business.
We're not raising worker bees. We're not raising yes men or kids that jump through hoops or...
This guy, what the fuck? Eat raw, live long. That's a... Okay. There is so many issues going on here. Another long-haired gentleman. And I guess he's fresh off the case. I mean, he was like solving mysteries with his dog earlier in the day. And now he's not raising little yes men. Get the fuck out of here. No way.
Take orders. We're raising free-thinking entrepreneurs by living this way.
I was on the phone with my web designer, and Wiley asked me a question I thought I would share with you so you could learn more about
Meth head.
what
Or previous meth head. Former meth head. If you look closely with me, I'm going to have the class follow along here. She has a skull tattoo. You see right here? She's got a skull tattoo. Whoa, that is a very, like, first of all, you had to shave your head. So you were rocking the shaved head look for a while. And I'm not going to, is there a swastika tat somewhere in there? I'm not like assuming anything, but like, is there? Do you have like, you shave their head and there's like a giant swastika tattoo on her head? Not saying anything. I'm like, whatever, you do you.
Timelines and family business.
So I don't think it's a coincidence.
Nah, that's a
that
pill face. Meth is sunken eyes and cheeks. Oh, okay. I don't know.
so many of these unschooling influencers are
She's hardcore. Yeah, right? She's hardcore.
trying to sell their viewers something.
If anyone is ever posting about a perfect lifestyle that seems too good to be true, it probably is, and they're probably just trying to sell you something.
It looks to me like Kelsey, as well as these other moms, are using the unschooling trend to become an influencer who uses her kids for fame like the family vloggers do, which is why they'll end a lot of their videos with promotions.
Nobody
Can someone message my wife on Twitter and tell her to check her text messages?
does it better than me because nobody cares more than
Like
me.
all of you, can you just absolutely spam her and be like, check your text messages. You need to bring me a vape and a soda water. Now.
I have a lot more free stuff on this.
Now.
Wait, follow me, don't lose me. You'll
Big B Trucker says Twatsika, which is really funny.
call me later.
Anyway, this is why Kelsey has a number of mom influencer videos where she's like, I'm so frugal with my money because when I shop, I can feed a family of 6 on $250 a week. Where in that same video, she talks about buying pasture.
Skull tats are rad, bro. I mean, they're hardcore. This chick right here has a body count. I guarantee you, she's got a hefty body count, and I'm not talking about her weight, although that is getting out of control. It's the hoop earrings, I think. It's the hoop earrings, and then the Gretchen from Recess eyeglasses. If you get it, you get it.
Raise eggs and organic meat, which are some of the most expensive items at the store. So she's obviously lying about how good she is at saving money. And months later, she said that her
Feral Pigeon says, just got here. What are we talking about? And then she says, we all have a body count. Yeah. But I'm saying she's got an unacceptable body count.
budget is actually twice
So
that
probably 2 or 3 guys in her lifetime.
at $500 a week, which sounds
And I will call her a raving slut. I will. And I'll throw rocks at her. Because I'm like one of those old school, like really, really like 16th century type of old school. Right? I'll stone you. I'll burn you like a witch.
far more accurate.
And I believe this is going to be the best thing I've probably ever done for my kids.
It's Femoid Fairy. Yeah, at Femoid Fairy. Go ahead and follow her. And tell her to get me my supplies. I need my tools. She never thinks of the smell. You bitch! Nah, she's probably just in there nursing or something like that. But this is more important.
And I'm really excited. I'm going to record everything. So if you're not following me, you definitely should be.
Farrell says, yeah, LL, yeah, 2 or 3. What a tramp. What a whore, right? Ew, yuck. I'll spit on her. Open your mouth. I'm going to spit in your mouth. And she'll be like, again. Okay.
I am documenting the fuck out of this experience because
You're coming home with me. I got a lot of things for you to swallow.
I have been feeling in my heart for a very long time that public school is just not, it's just not it.
So naturally, Kelsey went viral for saying a bunch of dumb stuff and impulsively jumping into a new lifestyle that she did no research on. And when people criticized her, this was her response.
Things have just gotten completely out of control on my social media and people dragging my name and
Thanks, everybody, for harassing my wife for me.
my original intention was
I do my best, but, sometimes you just need help. It's about, it takes a village, Sometimes you get tired from beating her, and then you have to, tag somebody in, right? And then it's just like that line from Airplane where, people have, brass knuckles and, baseball bats, and you're like, get a hold of yourself. And she'll get the message.
was to just share how I'm going through this as I'm learning to unschool, as I'm learning what works best for us, not coming from a place of being an expert. And any videos
Nah, what? What? Look, I know a lot of teachers, and a lot of them consider themselves, I'm not even fucking kidding you, experts in child development, experts in child rearing. And I laugh, usually directly in their faces. Like when I have like hot breath and like little bits of saliva land on their glasses and shit. And yeah, that I enjoy those interactions because I want them to know they're not to be respected. Just like how the students treat them, the rest of the world will also treat them. So this is your life. And what do you make? Some teachers actually make pretty good money. I think some make like up to $100K a year, which is way too much. It's just way too much. Look, if you're receiving checks from the government, you shouldn't constantly ask the government for more money. If you want more money, go to a private institution. There you'll be paid more money because people actually pay you to deliver a good education. But when you're working for the government, you're probably not doing your job. Why do you think so many black people work at the DMV? Why do you think so many black people work at the airport? Because you're not going to get fired, right? And a teacher, it's almost impossible to fire them. Once they get 2 years of tenure, they get tenured, right? And so after that, they have a guaranteed job for life, for the rest of their life. And they don't have to teach. They don't really have to do anything. I think short of like murdering a student, it's very difficult to fire them. And that includes sexual assault and stuff.
You see of me, I'm just simply sharing what I've done so far, and people frown upon that. They think that I'm making my kid stupid or something.
I don't see how this is such a shock, considering that a day or two earlier, you basically implied that your kids are too dumb to pick their own career paths. So it seems like a lot of people are unhappy with.
I mean, let's be real though. They probably will be. Not everybody's cut out to be a doctor. I'm not. I'm not cut out to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a lawyer or anything like that. I don't think your kids are capable of that. I just think you're not very smart. And then that makes your kids not very smart. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Sure, is there a chance that, you got like a one-off and he happens to be super smart and stuff? Sure, yeah, of course. That's possible. But like, how often do you see two ugly-ass parents and then their child walks in and the child is just beautiful, just stunning? Not often. Almost never. So the same goes for intelligence. Sure, you may think your kid is smart, but you're also stupid. So you have no way of telling. Right? If you're smart and you're beautiful, there is a very good chance, there's a strong likelihood that your kid is going to be smart and beautiful. If you're neither of those things, sure, it could happen. There could be some sort of, I don't know, you could get hit by gamma rays or something like that, or maybe be bit by a radioactive genius or something. But barring that, your kid's going to be a dumb, ugly fuck, just like you are. Sorry to break the news to you, but like, I didn't want you to live in this delusion where like, for some reason, you just didn't get the good-looking genes. That's not how it works.
Kelsey, including the unschooling community, because yes, there is an unschooling community, and they're mad at
Christian says tenure is not a thing in a lot of places. Well, I think if they are partnered with the teachers union, I think tenure is a big part of that.
Kelsey, because she's making them look bad. And to be honest, the people who are in favor of unschooling don't always have bad
Big B says, I didn't realize unschooling was a social media grift. We did it to prepare our kids for homeschooling, just breaking the repetition of public school. Yeah, I mean, like, I think they're unschooling themselves because their kids never actually went to the traditional education. So they're just unlearning what they learned, which is honestly a good idea because public schools are propaganda mills. They're just to instill certain ideologies into kids and not really give them any sort of real useful information and not help them think critically. No, the opposite of that. The opposite of that. So, unschooling yourself and like stepping outside of the box that you were set up in is a good idea. I just don't think she's going to be very successful at it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe.
Takes. That thing that mom from the beginning said about not needing algebra was kind of stupid, and I found myself disagreeing with her a lot when I was researching for this video. But here she is talking to some unschooled kids, and one of them said this.
Are there any classes that would interest you if you were in school?
Science. But I don't even know if I would then because half the time you're reading.
You're a girl. You shouldn't know about science. You shouldn't know the word science. It's not for you.
From a book. You're not actually experimenting and going outside and stuff. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
And the only time you're going to be using the word experimenting is when you have lesbian sex in college, okay?
It's totally different to read everything in theory versus hands-on experiences.
Right.
God, do we have a bunch of geniuses here?
You can read books at home or learn about theory on YouTube. If you're going to have a teacher there, then you should be doing a lot more practical stuff because that will ultimately be far more memorable to students. Retention plummets when you don't give...
Krishna says teachers' unions are not a thing in a lot of places, too. My dumb teacher wife is telling me so. Really? I didn't know that.
people an experience to connect to with your lesson.
Farrell says, unlearning repetition of what they are told as opposed to thinking for themselves is the biggest, most important unlearning you could do for your kids. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. They're just, so when you go to school, you're being effectively brainwashed. And these are techniques that have been mastered through like MK Ultra and like years of like propagandizing people and like also from like movies, and they use the same techniques not just in school but in society in general. This is why you get the million chicks with the fucking bolt in their nose and like the fucking short hair that's purple and stuff. And they're all like, I just want to be an individual. Really? Because you look like every other fucking chick here. You look exactly the same as every other chick here. You're really trying to be an individual? Or you're just brainwashed like the rest of these people. Yeah, breaking that programming is important. But first you have to realize that you're programmed, that you're brainwashed. That is the biggest hurdle right there. If you want to become unbrainwashed, the very first step is to realize that you've been brainwashed for years. 90% of people won't, if they've been successfully indoctrinated, they won't realize that. By the way, that's what I'm doing to you guys right now. I'm washing your brains so good. I got like in the washboard in the river, and I'm just pumping them. Just pumping them. Putting some work in it. Elbow grease. You won't break that. No, sir.
Not to mention that stuff like Common Core math is child abuse. I mean, some of these standardized teaching methods are so obviously a stupid way to teach kids that I have a hard time believing that they aren't intentionally stupid, and schools are purposefully disconnecting lessons from real-life examples so that corrupt people in government who are in charge of this stuff can pretend that they're teaching kids something without actually teaching them something.
Fucking based. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? Teaching them things that are not connected to any outside real-life scenarios, so they don't actually absorb the knowledge, right? And so immediately it just gets washed out of their brains by TikTok or some other nonsense like Labubu's and shit, and then you just have a normal passive slave. But they're not going to teach you the real things. They're not going to teach you how money is created. They're not going to teach you about compounding interest. They're not going to teach you about certain medical things that I am not allowed to talk about on YouTube. Obviously.
I just don't believe that a public school standardized curriculum and even most private...
Feral Pigeon says, I was brainwashed into questioning everything and I took it to heart almost to a crippling degree. And people said based. Yeah, based. I mean, like, there is a upper limit to where it just becomes like a crippling neuroses. But we tried to walk the fine line here at the Sulk stream. I don't think we do a very good job of that.
Private schools are not honoring
I mean,
enough of the
sometimes we go way over.
individual's journey. And not only is there a risk of children's curiosity and sense of wonder and creativity being crushed, I believe that that's happening for the majority of kids who participate in.
He's right. Creativity is the enemy of conformity, right? And conformity is what public schools are about. They want you acting like girls, right? They don't want you acting like boys because boys are problematic. Why do you always see, you go to a graduation and the valedictorian is always a girl. She just happens to be the smartest one at the class every single time. Okay. All right. I've been to a number of graduations. I have yet to see a male valedictorian. Not once. Not once.
Standardized education.
Correct. I believe that school is very good at demoralizing kids, as well as getting them to dislike important self-educating activities like reading, because more focus is put on proving that you read books like The Odyssey, which is a great story.
Farrell Pitches says, I was one of the first classes to receive DARE training. I remember that. I did that too. My mother smoked pot at the time. She sat me down and showed me the paraphernalia related to that. She said, they're going to tell you I'm sick. Do I look sick? That's pretty funny. I mean, like, that's pretty funny. And, yeah, that's, I mean, good, right? Look, obviously they have people come in and lie to you. That's their entire job. That's their MO. You shouldn't listen to the... Obviously, I'm not putting my kids in school, but if they wanted to go, I'd sit them down and I'd be like, look, they're going to lie to you. Don't listen to a word they say. Never listen to a word they say. And they're going to want to keep secrets with you. They're going to be like, you shouldn't tell your parents about this. You tell me everything they say to you. Everything they say to you. Because they do that. There's these things called these art clubs, right? Where they like, a kid is maybe not fitting in very well. And they go and like love bomb them into being trans or gay or something like that. And they end up giving them hormones in like California. And this is legal without the parent's knowledge, right? And if the parent ever finds out and tries to stop it, then the state comes in and takes the kid, labels the parents abusive, and the kid disappears into foster care. Sometimes never to be seen again. All completely legal. All completely legal. If you don't want your kids' gender changed after we brainwash them and love bomb them, then you must just be, a terrible, abusive parent. So we're going to take them from you and continue to change their gender without you. Loser.
By the way.
It's honestly awful. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You move out of the state? Well, I mean, then you could be brought up on kidnapping charges and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that, but it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation. I think the only thing you could do is move, but even then, I think the police will get involved.
Instead of focusing on getting students interested in the material, like I swear I've sat through classes where teachers take Greek mythology, which contains some of the most interesting stories known to man, and make them so boring that I'm falling asleep during the class. How do you take stories that are so popular that people have retold them for over 2,000 years and make...
Krishna says it's so painful realizing how fooled we have been. We are literally retarded. Look, I was called retarded my entire childhood. My entire childhood. I was called like retarded and like put in special ed and shit like that. And they might be right. Just legit, they might be right. So I'm not afraid of being retarded. I'm not afraid of sounding stupid. I mean, you guys have seen Daywave, haven't you? I'm fine. I'm okay. I've lived with it long enough to where I can sound as retarded as I want and be completely comfortable. I'm not embarrassed. Fine, I'm retarded. I understand. It's weird because I think everyone around me is fucking crazy. So I don't think we're just not going to see eye to eye here. Okay? Fine. You guys determined I'm retarded. But I see all the successful kids in this class being stupid as fuck. But fine, I'm retarded. That's okay with me. I'll go sit and I'll color, a Denny's window, a Denny's menu in the fucking special class. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. This is fine. How much time? Okay, I have to wait till I'm 16 before I'm out of here. Okay, 16 years old. All right. Fuck you, fuck you. People thought I didn't, speak English and shit like that. I'm like, I can read and write and speak English and all that. I'm fine. I do those things well. They don't listen to shit. Nobody listens to shit. And every time it's about what makes the parents, the adults in the situation, most comfortable. It's never about the welfare of the child. It is always about the welfare of the adults, of the teachers and the parents. If the parents are too bothered to take care of it, fine. And if the teachers are just annoyed with their job and they don't want to have to deal with anything that's even outside, maybe represents the smallest, minute amount of work, then they'll just get rid of your ass, right? They don't care if you're gifted in any way, if you're creative, if you can actually become something in the future, because that is opposite of what they're trying to create. They're not trying to create a beautiful utopia, a utopian future where all these geniuses are running around. No, they're trying to make cogs in a machine. They are trying to make replaceable cogs in a machine. And if you represent something that doesn't look almost identical to that, then they are going to throw you in the scrap heap. So fine, I landed in the scrap heap. I'm perfectly comfortable being called special or retarded or anything like. They convinced my parents of this. I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't need your fucking bullshit education anyway. I've seen the way you speak to people. I've seen your ideas, and I've seen the thoughts in your head, expressed through your speech, of course. I don't think you realize what's going on. And I'm right. They don't. Probably still don't. I'm actually pretty sure they still don't.
Students hate them. That's like doing a class on the Avengers movies and teaching it so poorly that your students can't stay awake during the lesson. The reason that you hate reading is because schools force teachers to constantly make kids prove that they're doing the assignment. So instead of just reading chapters 1 and 2 and moving on with my life like I would do if I was reading a book on my own, I now have to basically...
Professor Grasslab says the school system was designed to make workers, not educate children. Pretty gay, honestly. Yeah, that's exactly right. The entire education system was set up by... Was it the Rothschilds? It was some robber barons back in the Victorian era that, wanted good workers, good factory workers and stuff like that. So they set up this striated system, right? This leveled system where you'd have the laborers, and then you'd have the middle class manager class, and then on the top you'd have the doctors and the lawyers class, and the entire system was set up around that, right? But obviously today we don't have that kind of system. We don't have the factory workers and stuff like that. And we don't have that system anymore. So the entire education system is set up on a 100-plus-year-old society that we just don't inhabit anymore. But it's okay because the teachers are making money. That's the only thing that matters, right? You pay the teachers, they'll watch your kids, then the parents can go off to work, and we kind of lumber along in the society. And yeah, it damages a lot of kids. It really steals so much potential from so many people, but they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about that. No, what they want, what they care about is getting paid today, right? Making the adults' lives easier today. It has nothing to do with your potential. It has nothing to do with your future. They could give two fucks about your future. Trust me. I've met a lot of teachers. I've known a lot of teachers. I don't think most of them like kids.
Memorize 5 to 10 questions that my teacher assigned so I can find the answers while I'm doing the
Feral
assignment
Pigeon says they don't want a middle class anymore. Well, they're doing a pretty good job at that.
to prove to the teacher that I read the book, which means that instead of enjoying things like the opening scene of Avengers Infinity War.
Professor says F in the chat for American boys. And American boys are clearly the biggest victims of this system, right? American boys are so unaccepted in the public education system that it is a tragedy, right? And they live like that from then on, just constantly being rejected by the public education system. And then that goes to high school, and then they apply for like colleges, and then most colleges only accept women because, again, this is a depopulation agenda. The more women you accept into universities, the less children that those women will eventually have, right? Also, those women will tend to make more money, and women only date up, right? So if you make the men poor while enriching the women, you can actually have a huge amount of people having fewer kids. And this is why we're having this population collapse that we're having. This is not an accident. This has been an agenda in the works for decades. Decades and decades, right? Again, valedictorian is always a girl. Wouldn't it at least be a 50-50 shot if things were equal? No, that's nonsense. And then eventually these people get into the work life, right? And then women in their earlier years tend to out-earn men, right? Because they're usually more attractive in their earlier years. And so they can become like waitresses, or they can become strippers, or they can, get a nice cushy office job where they just, take back shots from the CEO or something like that. That's got to be a good paying gig. But the moment they hit like 35, something like that, sorry, you're not really useful anymore. Should have had a family, should have settled down, But the men who don't get college educations because they're being replaced by women, the men that would have had brilliant careers as a doctor or a physicist or something like that, now they have to be something less. And so these women simply aren't interested in them. This is a plan. This is all a plan. Christian, for $2, what did you give me? He's got a link for me. What schools don't want you to know, John Taylor Gatto. Okay. All right, let's pop it on the main screen over here.
Is there an idea more radical in the history of the human race?
Watch this just for a second.
Than turning your children over to total strangers who you know nothing about, and having those strangers work on your child's mind out of your sight for a period of 12 years? Could there be a more radical idea than that?
We're choking to death in 50 states of the Union, and it's no longer tolerable, and it's no longer a matter to be debated.
The more you intrude in a kid's life, the more you say this is what you need to know to pass the SATs, the more wrecked the kid becomes, the more irrelevant this thing called education is, because there is no correlation, none at all, between school grades or SAT tests and anything in future life. In fact, in many instances, there are negative correlations. The better you do in this area, the worse you will do.
It's a cult. It's a secular religion. It's a jobs project.
The strongest power that the school institution has is your fear. That's where it largely, it's true that they can select one person and by a gargantuan effort in 6 months spying and a huge outlay of money, they can crush that person's life. It is true. I'll tell you what's not true. They can't do that to 8 people. They don't have the resources. And I think we're at a juncture now in American history when a gauntlet has to be thrown down. I say you take the voucher money and you disregard the orders and instructions that come with it, and you close the door to the inspection teams. Now, is that bravado? Tell me something. How do you think a loudmouth like John Gatto survived in an inner city Manhattan school for 30 years, overwhelmed? It was the socialist capital, not of New York State, of the United States, the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So I was persona non grata from the get-go. It is an Alice in Wonderland house of cards.
Don't tell me that you're going to negotiate with these people. Or that your good example will bring them along.
John Taylor Gatto was the man. I've never heard of him. Yeah, I've never heard of him.
When your boot's on their neck, they'll come along. There are no advances in human history that have come about through negotiation. It's simply drawing a line in the sand and saying, if you cross that line, I will kill you. It's that simple. And if the enemy says, but we outnumber you 50 to 1, you can say, the French warriors outnumbered the Romans 50 to 1. And France became a Roman province. Knock me down and get back up again.
Well, they're French.
Kill me, I'll become a martyr.
Okay. I feel like I missed some key things in there because I had to do my wife's job. You know how it is. you know how it is. She's just laying in there.
I'm sitting there waiting to see some nonsense like what socket of the Infinity Gauntlet that Thanos puts the...
There is only force. I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't hear the first part of what he said.
...stone into, because that's question 3 on my homework assignment. I used to hate this when I was in school. Not only does this make reading a pain, but it effectively spoils what happens in the book. Teachers in my middle school would assign questions like, which Marvel character does Thanos talk to before he pushes Gamora off a ledge? Gee, thanks for ruining the surprise. So yeah, I have a lot of problems with public school, but I don't think this unschooling stuff is a solution either, as it basically only works under special conditions, like both of your parents already being teachers.
No. We have to step away from the entire system has been engineered. We have to completely wipe the slate clean. Because, look, teachers, when they go, they get gassed up just as much as, like, doctors and stuff like that. And doctors get gassed up for a very specific reason. When somebody is gassing you up, when somebody's telling you you're a genius, you're integral to society, you are leading our future, you're molding our future, you are important. When they're constantly gassing you up like that, that means they're manipulating you. They are using you as a tool, right? Modern teachers are just tools. And it's the only way they know. The only way they know is a wrong way of teaching. It is a wrong way of teaching. They don't ask questions or anything like that. They follow the curriculum. They follow what they've been told. And if you step out of line, they shall correct you. And if you're not going to be corrected, then they'll expel you. It's the same. They like having some control in their lives. Teachers. This is why they become teachers. Because they want to be the smartest person in the room. And they were only able to pull that off in a room full of children. Okay? So that lets you know how easily manipulated these people already are. Okay? We can't have that system. There's too many greedy little fingers in the pie. There's too many people putting money into certain places that are destroying our education system entirely from the ground up. It has to be wiped away completely. Not not bring in the teachers. They know how to do it. No. We have to completely restart. The system is broken and it's irreparable.
Courtney is an elementary school teacher by trade. She has a teaching certificate and she used to work as a music and arts and special ed teacher. I worked as an outdoor educator. And so we both have a background in education of sorts.
Yeah, of course this
Knobs Dog says, 07, what are we tackling tonight? Well, we're talking about internet parenting, but like more specifically education right now.
works for your kids. Teaching is your profession. But how would you scale this? Well, you can't, which is why I think that when these people talk about unschooling, they should instead talk about homeschooling rights or talk about ways that schools can promote self-education, like a free study period for an hour, where teachers teach kids how to research topics and set skill-building goals for things that they are personally interested in. Talking about stuff like this would be much better for society as a whole, instead of promoting a style of learning that will effectively result in tons of kids being far behind their peers who went to public school in essential subjects like...
Knob says, do not let government schools educate your children. And that would seem so obvious, right? That would seem so obvious. Because that's obviously, look, and a lot of people are getting behind that, right? Like, the government is obviously not on our side. And they're turning our own children against us. And they're turning our own children, our sons into daughters, and our daughters and our sons, and we're making our, like, kids, like, kiss each other, like the boys kiss each other. They're making them gay. Forget the water. Forget the water. It's the schools that are making these kids gay. Obviously, the government is not of the people anymore. And it probably hasn't been for at least my lifetime. Right? So, letting them teach your children, letting them teach the next generation is completely foolish. Like, it is the worst. Why would you give your kids to the enemy and be like, here you go, I trust you. Please, don't turn them against me. Don't convince them to off themselves. Don't convince them to cut their wieners off or something like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, you just get to work and then pay me to do it. Oh, and I'm going to force you through property taxes, even if you don't have kids, to pay for this entire thing. Even if you opt out and put your kids in a private school, you still have to pay property taxes, which goes largely to the education system. It is a grift. It is all a grift. They've been screwing us for decades. And I don't know how bad it was back in like the 60s and the 70s. I imagine it wasn't as bad, but back in the 90s when I was a kid, it was nightmare fuel. I can't imagine what kids are going through today. I can't, because it's got to be just demoralizing, like it was for me. Absolutely. Can you imagine the first section of my life, the first is since I can remember until I was like 16 odd some years old. I was afraid to go to school ever, and not because I was getting bullied or stuff by the other students, or it was the teachers that were the problem. I was like, fuck, I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. At a young age, I didn't want to have to deal with this shit anymore. I was done. I had to go.
Like reading, writing, and math, which are the fundamentals for every other skill. Being behind in these skills.
Nasty Guru says, school is horrible. That's why I read so many books. Wasn't learning dog shit in school. I mean, like, right? You just... It's a setback. It's a setback at best. And traumatic at worst. Right? It's a setback because you're not actually learning useful things. You're not actually learning things that you can use in the future, or pursue your talents or your creativity or any sort of critical thinking skills. They just mush that shit down. You're like, you don't need any of that. What is that, an original thought? Fuck that noise. No. But they pretend they do. They pretend they foster the children. Oh, we must help the children grow. And you're not paying us teachers enough to get fat and sit in a chair and swivel around like this and be lesbians. A lot of them were lesbians. There's another problem with the gender dynamic, too. What, like 90% of teachers are females? And they all got a fucking chip on their shoulder? What's the deal with that?
Skills can damage years of their lives as they try to catch up. Well, if they catch up. And speaking of, next we have a TikTok mom who goes by Onami.
So we don't teach our children.
Right there. Look, I don't know who dropped a load in you, but I think that was a mistake.
Anything. Everything that they learn is in response to either their interests or their questions. We have no curriculum. We have no school hours. We really just respond whenever they want to know something and do our best to make sure they really get it.
I can see we're already off to a great start. No less.
Noelle says it sucked my will to curiously learn. Well, that's exactly what that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you into a girl, right? That just sits there quietly and like listens. That's girl shit right there. Boys don't do that. They're precocious and they run around and they blow stuff up and they're all like, well, that's some science right there. That's what science started as, right? You would blow something up and then that was cool. And then you write down what happened. And then there you go. That's the start of science. You don't get to do that in school now. Now you have to learn to behave and follow directions. And if you don't follow directions, then you're bad at school. And then you wonder why so many people are so fucking crazy these days. You see people that are like cheering Charlie Kirk's death. Yeah, shoot him in the fucking neck. Yeah, woo. That's psychotic. But you know, every single one of those people did well in school. I guarantee you. And they probably went to college too, but they're like, wow, this is making me even gayer. I love it. That's a cock in their mouth. They're the same people time after time after time. And they got their Funko Pops and shit. It's sickening. It honestly is sickening. And like, maybe they're NPCs. Maybe they're soulless automatons, right? That is actually a more comfortable thought than me believing that these are human beings capable of rational thought and emotion, right? Because they don't seem like it. Maybe me thinking they're NPCs is my self-defense. To be like, there's no way people are actually like this. These have to be some husks, you know. And there's normal people out there. There's player characters out there. But these are just the faceless ones, right? You pitch them a question, and they'll give you the same like run-off answer. The one you heard on the news, the one you heard on CNN, the one you heard from like, you know, your liberal fat tard teacher for decades. Oh yeah, we're losing the polar ice caps. No more polar bears. Been hearing that my whole life. Fuck you.
Lesson plans, no set times for learning each day, and we only teach things our kids ask us to teach. Well,
Gnostic says if you're an individual, it's hell. If you're an NPC, it's heaven. Well, that's comforting because it was hell for me. It was hell for me. Yes.
I hope your 6-year-old is a genius who always knows the right questions. Otherwise, he's going to miss out on a lot of essentials that his same-age peers will have already mastered long before.
And my big fear about free schooling was that if my kids only went towards what they were interested in, saving all of their real estate only for things they're interested in, not cramming it with anything necessary, I was concerned that they would never be interested in things like reading and writing and math.
Wait, she wasn't going...
Okay, here's the thing. Reading and writing and math, you really have to be pretty fucking stupid not to know. Like, if you can't figure out basic algebra, if you can't figure out how to read, then you got a whole host of problems otherwise. I mean, like I didn't listen to shit in school. I can read fine. I can read well, in fact. I can understand. I comprehend information that I'm reading fairly well. I can kick around ideas in my head without accepting them. You know, I can do these things. I can do these things that I know people who did better in school than I did cannot do. If you can't read or write or use a fucking calculator, you have a lot more problems than just like, you're not going to get anywhere anyway. My 4-year-old is starting to be able to read. How do you not know how to read? It's a ridiculous thing. Like, I know there's people out there who can't, but it's the same thing as like people who can't swim. Like, how the fuck do you not know how to swim? Most of the 70% of this planet is covered by water, and you can't traverse most of it. You can't swim at all? You can't swim at all? How'd you survive? You never tripped into a pool or anything like that? I don't get it. The same thing with people who don't know how to read. I'm like, you got to be a different kind of retarded. You got to be a different kind of retarded. I just can't believe it. I honestly, I don't even remember learning how to read. Going to teach them how to read and write unless they asked? Again, these are the most fundamental skills in learning. As in, you can't learn other skills without knowing how to read and write. And she wasn't going to give them any sort of guidance as a parent by saying something like, hey, maybe you should learn this stuff first. Otherwise, you won't be able to read the ingredients for a recipe or be able to count the number of cups of flour. Lucas says stupid people are incapable of abstract thought. Yeah, and then he goes on to reference a race. I'm going to go ahead and say not all, but like, I hate saying that. I hate saying not all. Because obviously it's not all. Obviously. You know, when I speak on this show, I speak in generalities 100% of the time. And whenever somebody fucking argues with me on Twitter or something like that, they're always like, well, they're not all like that. Well, they're not all like that. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Of course they're not all like that. But the vast majority of them are like that. That's my issue. That's the problem. You have this, you can't like understand because you have this one anecdote where like, well, I knew this guy and he was a doctor or some shit like that. Well, fucking congratulations to him. How does that change my point at all? It doesn't. It doesn't. Anecdotes do not change my points. And bringing them up makes me mad at you because I'm like, what? I wasted my time. I used my brain power against you, and then you throw that at me. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Get off my phone. Get out of here. Wasting my time. If you come at me with a legitimate argument, then I will entertain it, and I will argue with you in good faith. Absolutely. But 90, like, well, you're just a retard or something like that. I'm like, okay, that's a fair one. That's a fair one. I am kind of a retard. Or it's the anecdote. You know, the one case. God, I hear that a lot.
Flour that you need to make cookies.
My son's 6, and it took some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp. Egg. Jar.
Okay. There you go.
Lion.
Wow, that's pretty good for an 18-year-old. I mean, you know. He's 18. Just sitting there with his curled hand. Oh, that's mean.
This is him doing this by himself. Copying down words from other places, asking us more. Same with it.
Okay, you know, and he probably like, he looks at you and he's like, tramp. Whore. He's taking notes. He's like, how do I not end up like this lunatic right here? Yeah. I'm not agreeing with this guy. Think before you sleep on this episode, right? I agree with him on a lot of episodes, but he does bring up great people. She's a maniac.
What's 7 plus 5? It will come at the right time.
Am I crazy, or is this not impressive at all for a 6-year-old? I would be concerned if this were my child. He can't...
I mean, my 4-year-old could do that, but I don't know. Here's the thing. You don't need to push. Look, he's not going to be like 15, 16 years old and not know how to like spell jar. That's not. A lot of people push education and like learning to read way too early, where it's just like you're going to put in a lot of effort to teach him how to do something when you could put in half the effort a year from now and he'll pick it up almost immediately. There's brain development has to be achieved, right? So, and honestly, you pushing him to do like schoolwork or study and stuff instead of actually running around playing, like discovering his world, that can actually reduce his ability to learn. Human beings play for a reason. This helps our brain development, right? Us running around like picking up bugs and climbing trees and stuff, these are integral for our brain development. And once that brain has developed, we'll catch concepts and ideas much easier. But if you're saying, here, sit down in this chair as a fucking 5-year-old, as a 4-year-old, and learn all of this stuff that's obviously way ahead of his level, it's gonna hurt him. It's going to hurt him. It's going to lessen his brain development. I'm just saying, a lot of people push their kids too early.
Write the letters correctly or from memory, yet she literally is jumping for joy over 4 words when he should be reading and writing full sentences by 6 years old. Like he's way behind. Well, I mean, he's extra behind considering that public school teaches kids at a snail's pace. The benefit of homeschooling is that kids are supposed to learn way faster, so actually he should be writing paragraphs that contain his own thoughts and ideas, and not single words that he copied down from his coloring book.
So it's true. My son cannot read at age 6.
Wait, was he even able to read the words that he copied down? This is bad. I think I was reading and writing basic sentences at 5 years old, and I was by no means a...
My son plays video games, and I sit there and I play video games with him. It's a good bonding time. We enjoy that time together. And when there's like a tutorial, something that pops up on the screen, he's 4. I tell him to read it. I'm like, you read it. You sound it out and you read it. And I'm like, we're not going to play the game until you read it. Because there's plenty of writing in games. If you want to be able to play the game, I can't sit here and read everything to you. You have to read it. And this actually gives him incentive to be able to read things. People want kids to learn for learning's sake, but they don't give a shit about that. They'd rather be playing. But if there is a barrier, right, like you have to get through this to understand how to play the game, there you go. Then he'll actually put effort into actually reading. And this is a lot more effective. It's a lot more effective. But I think it's pretty clear that she's an idiot, right? She's obviously not that smart. So I don't know if she's actually teaching poorly, although she probably is, or that she just has bad genetics. Bad genetics are a real thing. Some people are genetically just going to be superior. This is a fact. This is a hardcore fact.
Ahead of my peers. Her son is like a full year behind other 6-year-olds, which is a huge deal because the skills that you learn during childhood are additive, and if you learn things late, then you potentially...
Strawberry says, my son just turned 5 and is reading pretty well. It's reading pretty good.
will miss out on exponential growth, which means...
See, Strawberry doesn't even know how to read, but she's a woman, so I get that.
As an adult, you will have to spend years catching up to kids whose parents didn't do this to them.
Or am I?
But like I said with Kelsey, this all begs the question of, how did we get here? Why is she so negligent when it comes to her kids? And the short answer is, lots of drug abuse.
I was super bulimic. No.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. That's a good freeze frame, too. Can we just enjoy that? Oh my God. That's how you got in this situation, isn't it? You had to look a lot like that. Yeah. I bet you did.
Barley alcoholic.
I didn't even. Wow. Who's shocked? Who's shocked? I'm not saying, look, a lot of people have drug and alcohol problems. Sure. I think she took it too far. And, look, there's just so many bodies that hit that thing, dude.
Luckily was such an alcoholic.
Feral Pigeon says, John, is that you eating a strawberry? Well, yes, thank you. Thanks for noticing, Feral. I appreciate that.
That like I
see now she's getting lore. She's doing inside jokes. You're new to the Sulk stream, but now you're getting the inside jokes and all that. Good for you. Good for you.
Couldn't get addicted to heroin because I puked too much.
Rookie.
Super big coke head. Taking a lot of psychedelics.
Okay, stop. Stop talking. Stop incriminating yourself immediately. Stop right now. Just say you had drug problems, all right? And stop right there. I mean, even just stop. Stop. Please. She's all like, well, yeah, I had this one night with the New York Knicks and everyone. Oh, my God.
You know, like
I mean, I guess people could have figured that out with the glazed over eyes, the forehead tattoo, the pentagram thing on her palm.
It's not even a pentagram. Did you mean to do that? Or was this a mistake? I mean, I understand it was a mistake, but did the tattoo artist make a mistake? Because that looks like a 5-year-old drew that. That looks like your 5-year-old drew that. 6-year-old. 6. So it looks like a normal 4-year-old drew that. But your retarded 6-year-old probably, you know?
And the YouTube channel where she teaches sex magic.
God, dude. Oh my God. How stupid are you, man? I mean, if CPS comes rolling by and sees all this shit, they're going to have some questions. They're going to have a lot of questions, dude. They're going to have so many questions. Rightfully so, too. No, it's not a mistake. Because look, that stupid symbol is here, too. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is.
This is all behavior of a drug addict. Now, people don't just become addicted out of nowhere. So why did she do this to herself? Well, it's kind of a long story that's explained in this.
Knob says this lady should not have kids. And stop talking, lady. Yeah. Stop. Stop talking. Please, shut up. Shut up. I don't know what color your kid is, but like the more words you say, the darker I imagine his complexion is. All right? That's... You know?
Here. But to sum it up, Onami was a member of a doomsday cult until she was 13 years old. A doomsday cult is a cult where they think the end of the world is coming, and Onami reports that she experienced multiple ends of...
Feral Pigeon sees, I think it was called a spirograph. I don't think it's a spiro. I don't think it's a spirograph. You know, no, it's not that, but that would be hilarious. Honestly, it would be a better tattoo. I don't know what that symbol means, but it looks retarded.
...of the world that the cult would just forget about and move on to the next apocalypse after being proven wrong. More importantly, and very sadly, she also reported that she was sexually abused pretty much daily until she left the cult at 13. It actually seems like the group
checks out.
Group was a lot more about that than it was about the doomsday stuff. It was
checks out.
It's only during a moment that the cult stupidly let her outside that she realized that something was up.
I'd gone to like CVS pharmacy with like a few of the other girls, and this guy showed up, and so he was like trying to like hug me and stuff while I'm waiting in the line at CVS, and I was like, get get away from me. And as I was walking
It's called an Enneagram. What's an Enneagram? Don't know what an Enneagram is.
out of the house, I mean, as I was walking out of the pharmacy, like a
That tattoo means she makes great decisions? Well, then it's got to be some sort of mistranslation. It's probably like one of those Chinese tattoos that, yeah, it means dragon, but it actually means like noodle soup or something like that. So there was a miscommunication somewhere. She's also got a neck tattoo that says yes. Is that so you can consent to sex when you're blacked out? Is that what that's for? 'Cause it just happens so much, you know. I don't want anybody to think this wasn't consensual, you know, so I'm just going to tattoo on my throat so when I'm blackout drunk, and they says yes right there on my throat. So in you go.
woman came running up after me and she's like, hey, like, are you okay? Is that guy bothering you? Do you know that guy? And I was like, you know, my parents, like, you know, whatever.
Feral Pigeon says this means shrimp fried rice and dumbass. I mean, that's good enough. Yeah, it's good enough.
And she's like, no, like, are you okay? Like, is this,
No, you're not
you
okay.
all right? She's like, I'm going to give you my number. Like, if you need anything,
No, you're not
like,
okay.
call me. And he saw that happen. And when I got home, I got in.
All right, we got a Wikipedia article from is Gematria. Is that Enneagram of Personality, or simply Enneagram, a pseudoscientific model of the human psyche, which is principally understood and taught as a typology of 9 interconnected personality types. The origins and history and ideas associated with the Enneagram of Personality are disputed. Contemporary approaches are principally derived from the teachings of Bolivian psychospiritual teacher Oscar Icazo from the 1950s and the Chilean psychiatrist Claudio Naranjo from the 70s. Naranjo theories were also influenced by earlier teachings about personality by George, I'm not going to pronounce that, and the fourth way tradition in the first half of the 20th century. Oh, she's such a Carrie. That's what. Oh, so my sign, I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm just like a bitch sometimes. That's what that is. That's what that is. You want her personality? Yo. You know what? I don't need your Enneagram to determine your personality. I think the forehead tattoo and the throat of consent are really doing me a solid here. And telling me my signs are to stay away from you. You know? I don't even know what to say. What a retarded bitch, dude. What an absolutely retarded bitch. I'm very pro homeschooling and the whole unschooling thing, right? But this example is obviously not the example you want to follow. I think this is clear. This is clear. I'm against on what old Think Before You Sleep is saying on here. And he's like, you need professional teachers. I don't think you need professional teachers. But the person he picked to represent his argument is a chef's kiss of absolute psychosis and delusion and sexual trauma out the yin-yang and in the yin-yang, if you catch my drift.
In such huge trouble. That was like
Feral
the first time
Pigeon
that I had ever.
right there, $10. Here's a little cash for your future neck tattoo. What are you gonna bang me when I'm blackout drunk? Just right there, yes. Holy shit. Holy shit. And I'm sure you paid, I mean, $10 sounds about right. $10 for that, it sounds about right. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds like she's like, yeah, I got $10.
Or had like interaction with the outside world, and somebody was like, hey, like maybe that's not normal, or maybe that's not okay.
Christian says it's basically gay bitch racism. Gay bitch racism. Gay bitch racism. That's wow, that is a loaded concept. Gay bitch racism. Okay, so gay, bitch, those are very closely aligned. Racism is kind of further away, right? But there is like this opposite kind of racism where like, I only do black guys because white men are the devil. So that could be the kind of gay bitch race. Could be like that. Interesting theorem.
So it seems like it was kind of a horrible experience, and I'm sorry all that happened to her. Fortunately, she was able to escape at 13. However, if you've had a very traumatic childhood like that and you're going to have kids...
Knobsdog says, yes, her sign is get away. No, her sign is welcome. And she's just a mat that people come on.
Then you need to undergo lots of therapy. And you also need to be taking extreme...
Open trench.
levels of direction from normal society. This is not the time to be inventing new programs for your kids or doing things that are radically different from the norm. The reason for that is because the traumatic childhood will heavily skew your sense of what's healthy, which makes it very likely that if you deviate from the norm...
Open for business is also a good one. Not an exit.
Do so in a way that will cause your kids harm.
You know, I grew up in a cult, so I'm always terrified of starting
Push to enter.
my own cult, being a cult leader, but we managed to avoid that.
These are all good signs, you know.
Which is good. We just like never do group activities with anybody.
But you are kind of doing that, though. In this case, she was referring to clients, which as far as I've seen...
Knobsdog says watching John Werther Christian's comment is like watching a monkey try to figure out the Enigma code. It's like the kid from Mercury Rising, where he just like... he just figures out the code and calls somebody. He has no idea what he did. He's just like, it's 6 p.m. on the train station. They're like, how do you know this? How'd you get this number? And he's like, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Yeah. I do that a lot. To random people. I'm not figuring out codes or anything. I just like to fuck with people.
She's not creating some sort of cult around them. However, that's not the same case with her kids, who she is
Big B Trucker says spit first. I've seen that one before. Spit first as a sign? Or like a tattoo? What, like on our loins? Ugh. 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 Holy shit.
definitely using to promote her coaching business. Pretty much all of the unschooling influencers that I found, except for this guy, were throwing their kids into videos, followed by, buy my book, or whatever they were selling. So I have my doubts about the authenticity of most of the people promoting this lifestyle. As for Onami, it's not just her business that sells a weird sex magic entrepreneur course, but she's also very inappropriate in front of her kids. For example, I found things like videos of her twerking in front of them, and I mean, you grew up in a
No, I don't, Knob. I don't have, no. I have a couple tattoos, but not that one.
Sexually inappropriate environment. Why are you bringing that behavior to your kids? I've also watched her let her kids, who I believe are 3 and 6 years old, handle dangerous tools like a full-size kitchen knife before their hands are big enough to hold it properly, and before they have good enough fine motor.
I don't think that's that big of a deal. I mean, like, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I mean, like, a kid needs to learn how to wield a knife. Not that I let my kids do it, but I mean, like, I've seen, like, Chinese kids do it, and they're pretty good at it. I just don't think that's that big. Okay, he might cut himself a little bit. Then he'll learn not to do that. See, I think you're being a little overcritical on this point.
Motor skills to use proper techniques so they don't hurt themselves. Last, I'm very concerned that she has talked publicly about how she wants to isolate them from...
Nobody wants to watch me on YouTube? My YouTube's just dead? Somebody watch me on YouTube.
...from outside influences, kind of like a cult would.
But I was able to retire my husband this
Kind of like a cult would? I think they're referencing us, guys. I think they're referencing us. I will give my kid a large knife. And like a Chucky mask, and he'll run after people. It'll be hilarious.
Second we met, we've never been, we don't have nannies, we don't have cleaners, we don't have anything. We're with.
Do you have a job? Do you have a source of income that's not sex related or drug related? These are important. That's important. And what is up with your tattoos? What is this? Is this a clown? Is this one of those zoetropes? You know, the things you spin around real fast and then it looks like the clown's dancing? Is that what that is? You are a wreck, woman. You are an absolute wreck. But the yes on the neck takes it. It is it. But this up here is also a wild red flag. Well, this right here, that one right there, it just says yes. That takes it. I don't know what that means. I mean, my blackout drunk theory might be on the, it might be over the target at least. Holy shit, you are a problem. And you must have had like a lot going on in your childhood. I feel bad for you. Not really though. Not that bad. Not that bad.
With our kids all the time. This is my like trauma response. I'm like, I'm not leaving my kids with other people, and that's just.
Yeah, it's trauma. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. This is a trauma response. You don't want the same thing to happen to your kids that happened to you. Yeah, it's kind of falling into place. I get it. Okay. Well, that's just too bad. That's just too bad. But that has nothing to do... Look, that has nothing to do with homeschooling or unschooling or anything like that. This is this specific case, okay? This is a specific case. All right? So this is not argument this is not a good faith argument, right? Because he is showing a specific case that would have had problems regardless, right? She would have parenting issues regardless. So this is the issue we're dealing with. She's just too fucked up. There's plenty of moms out there that implement practice that are effective, and a lot of times their kids are excelling and far above their grade age. But obviously not in this case. That's a bad faith argument. That's a bad faith argument.
That's just how we're doing it.
This is also something that Kelsey, the first girl I showed, said she was doing to her kids too. In fact, she's made multiple TikToks on it.
We don't actually need socialization skills. We need to know how to communicate, which you can do with your parents. We need to know how...
No, you need some basic socialization. But you can get that outside of school. There's a million different things you can do. We just put our kid in jiu-jitsu. There you go. Soccer, whatever. A pottery class or something like that. There's a million... Church, for God's sakes. This is not... It doesn't... You don't have to, like, cloister your kids up so where they just communicate with you, because that will make them a little strange. That will make them uncomfortable in social situations. No, you need to have them... Because they need to develop, like, a culture of their own. Whatever. These are bad cases.
How to connect, which you can do with your parents. And those are skills that you take for the rest of your life to make friendships.
Kelsey also said in a different TikTok that she's fine with her kids not...
Carbon says these chicks are basically just mentally ill stage moms. And I think you're absolutely correct. I think these are just crazy bitches, dude. These chicks are just crazy. And, like, I can argue any point if I just got the craziest people. This is cherry picking data. That's what this is. You're just cherry picking.
Knowing how to socialize because she never leaves her house and she's still happy and successful.
Ben says jiu-jitsu is great for kids, but you didn't spell it right. And I know you did that on purpose.
Well, the first thing people should know about self-reported mental health is that people are terrible at diagnosing their own mental state. In one
I'm super good at it. And I think I'm retarded and crazy, but whatever crazy you want to... It's dealer's choice kind of crazy. But retarded. There you go. I'm good at it. So not everybody. Just like my entire anecdote thing before. Not all of us.
Video, Kelsey will talk about
not
how
all of
happy
us.
She is being socially isolated all day. While in other videos, she'll talk about how she dated a physically abusive narcissist.
She don't look bad, though. I mean, she look kind of trashy. It's too much makeup. Is this a filter? This is a filter, isn't it? No, yeah. You know what? I take back my statement. Certain angles and stuff, they're confusing for me. Maybe I have autism. So throw that on there. Can I be retarded and autistic? I mean, that has to be possible, right? Because if you're autistic, you're not necessarily retarded. Like, some autistic people are like savants, and so they play the piano really good. But like, not all of them. Some people are just autistic. But then can you also be retarded on top of that? Like, yeah, he's autistic, but he's pretty stupid too.
Narcissist when she was a sugar baby,
So-
and about how bad her mental health was when she used to run a spicy website.
You know, I wear many hats. Most of them are helmets, to be honest. Yeah, because insurance won't cover me otherwise.
So, no, I don't think you're actually happy, and I don't think keeping your kids away from a social environment is good for them, considering that social skills are the most important skills you can have, as you literally will not be able to find a job without them, or build good friendships, or find a good relationship partner. Even if you suck at everything else, being good at socializing will put you around people who know things, and probably the most useful things I know have been
Retarded with a sprinkle of autism? I mean, like, you guys are in a cult led by a retarded autist, an autistic retarded person. What's that saying about you guys? You guys are crazy. You guys are just crazy. That's what my dad would say.
talking to my friends. A lot of people are low skilled and not successful simply because their friend group sucks and because they don't.
Gnostic says this guy does not have good social skills. Just listen to him. You are so right. You are so. You're talking about Think Before You Sleep, the guy who runs this channel. You are so correct, dude. Where is Thought? Hey, Shanks. Where's Thought? Because she hates this guy. Where is she? Is she okay? Probably not, knowing Thought. She hates this guy. Thought, if you watch this video, please comment in the video. And the rest of you comment too. It helps the algorithm.
Around themselves with
Hey,
people
Goofy.
who can speed run them through complex problems. Now, going back to Miss Forehead Tattoo, the crazy.
The less crazy. Which one's more crazy? Which one's more crazy? It could be this one. However, it could be the other one. Because, like, this one, yeah, she's got the tats and stuff like that, and the you know, all takers kind of thing right here. She's like, anybody welcome. All are welcome. And I would like, because if you look at her, hold on, look at her stomach. There is all kinds of trauma. I think this is a cobra. I think she got a cobra tattooed on her stomach. So, if she were to take her shirt off, I bet it would be a Willy Wonka of like mental health issues, dude. It would just be bananas up in there. Absolute bananas. And I would like to see it just to be like, wow. Wow. Just as like, not as like a sex thing, right? But just as like a case study. And be like, oh, wow. So that's what can happen. It's pretty, that's an advanced case right there. That's an advanced case. Wow. Yeah, okay. That's good.
crazy thing is that she does have some awareness of what's going on here, but she's completely disconnected when it comes to her kids.
It's so unfortunate that your life can be.
Carbon says she seems nice. Chicks with snakes and spiders are fine, and demonic shit, yeah, they're usually fine. It's not a pentagram; it's an enneagram. So you know why she's being crazy, because she actually she has these 6 different personality traits, and they converge, right, into being a fucking psychopath that'll set your car on fire. Right there. That's what it says. Yep.
can start as a pattern that other people put on you. But if you don't learn how to break those.
Is skull tat chick critical thought? No, she doesn't have skull tats. She doesn't have tattoos. I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her body. I met her in real life, and she smacked me. But she doesn't have ink like this. She does. I'm pretty sure she does have tattoos, though.
Patterns, no matter where you go, they're going to come with you. No matter what you do, they're going to come with you. You can meet a wonderful partner and be in a marriage that you love with somebody that really loves you.
Oh. Now I feel bad, dude. All she wants is to be loved, and that's so sad because she just got plowed by like cult leaders and stuff like that. Ugh. But it's not going to happen for you. No. You're a practice girl at best. And whoever knocked you up is long gone. I mean, they're like that. Who is that? The guy who jumped out of an airplane with a briefcase full of money. C.B. Cooper. That's the guy who knocked you up. Might as well be. He just left the load and jumped out with a parachute at 35,000 feet. Ripped. Dude. And I understand why. He might be dead in the woods right now, but it doesn't matter. You're never seeing him again regardless.
And if you haven't broken that
D.B. Cooper, thank you.
Pattern, you will force them to show up as the other half of that pattern. You will force them to abuse you. You will.
Look, I'm not taking relationship advice from you. All right. And honestly, look, they're your kids, and they're your sole responsibility, because I know no man is going to stick around for the dumpster fire that your life is. So they are your sole responsibility. So I can't tell you how to raise your kids, but like I would deeply consider getting into therapy and maybe having somebody else. Doesn't have to be the public education system, but have somebody else educate your kids. A church that's not like a cult, you know, a private something, right? Because you're fucked up. You are fucked up. Like really, really, really badly. And I'm sorry for you. I am sorry how bad you're fucked up. But like you can't take that out on your kid. Because he's going to develop a thing. He's going to develop like a complex. Because you got diddled as a kid. Now you don't want anybody around him and stuff like that. And you're isolating him and like teaching him how to read poorly, I guess. I'm just saying you should rethink it. Again, I am not the parent of your child, and I wouldn't want you to tell me how to parent my child, right? So that's the deal we're going to have. However, there is a difference. You know, you and I are not the same.
Will force them to abandon you, even if they're not doing it.
Big B says therapy. That's very jujitsu. Okay. All right. That's funny. They're convinced. They're what? What? I'm not being grumpy with you. I sent orders out and they were not fulfilled. So, you know, I was just in the middle of something. Don't be such a jujitsu.
You'll feel it and it'll be just as bad.
I'm actually very surprised that she said that. It was the most mentally stable thing I heard from her. It's just too bad that she doesn't realize this for her kids, because the primary way that you save yourself from poor mental health is through relationships and through...
Cheddar. Cheddar says, good point. A muscle dummy who takes Vyvanse and likes to talk. And then he says, I think a girl, I don't know. JK, we love you, John.
So you're saying he has muscles?
So you're saying I'm buff.
Yeah.
That's all I heard.
through feedback from other people. Severely.
Anyways, guys, we'll end on me being buff because I think that's the only point that really matters. I hope you guys have a good night. And be cool and be awesome and be good to be each other and, you know, practice your jujitsu. Or don't. You know, if you're not a practicing jujitsu or an orthodox jujitsu, you know, I understand. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming. I hope you have a wonderful night. Come back tomorrow night. Hit the like button if you would like. Follow me on all the other platforms. It would really help me out. You know, just help me out here. Be a good cult member. Be good people. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I hope you have a good night. Be strong. Be valiant. Make me proud. Drink a lot of water. Get a good night's sleep. And take care of yourselves because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night. Love ya.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster too, government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, roaring like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.